He's a Republican from Tennessee and was part of a bipartisan delegation that visited Europe last week. What was the most important thing that you took away from your trip?
Well, Dana, it was both heart-wrenching and heartwarming. Heart-wrenching in that we got to hear the stories directly from the refugees, their homes being bombed, people, being killed, they brought pictures, images of children being killed, heart-wrenching stories. And then heartwarming as you see the people of Poland and Romania and Moldova opening up their homes. There are no refugee camps there, and millions of people have come into Poland, and they're just taking them into their homes. The NGOs and the U.S. government, the humanitarian assistance has been fantastic. Mark Murphy, the world-renowned chef, we went to a place where they were cooking meals for the people. Very heartwarming to see the response, very heartbreaking just to see the devastation in these people's lives.
So this was a bipartisan delegation, and we know that there's a lot of polarization in the country, a lot of partisanship. What was the feeling amongst the congressional members there from both sides of the aisle?
Well, the delegation was really unified in the need to change our response. The president has pushed sort of a punish Russia perspective, and that hasn't worked. What we really need to do, and again, the congressional delegation was unified in this: we need to prevent Russia from doing further things, and that means harder sanctions, more lethal aid, and things like that. We also met with members of the 82nd Airborne Division, the 101st, and the American troops that are deployed there on NATO's eastern flank, and the delegation was completely in agreement in supporting those forces and, of course, growing them where we can.
Do you think that the Congress will continue to pressure the Biden administration to do more? And I'd also love to get your thoughts on the gaffe heard around the world over the weekend when President Biden ad-libbed those 9 words.
Yeah. The Congress is going to continue to push the president on this. You can credit the Democrats for the bill they passed on Russian oil, blocking Russian oil. The Democrats in Congress helped push that bill through. So again, Putin has unified NATO, he's unified the EU, and he's unified Congress. As far as the gaffe, the president's just, it's sad to see stuff like that happen. He needs to stick to his speeches, the written word, because when he deviates, that kind of a mistake can inflame Putin, the very thing we're trying not to do. And, he's just got to watch what he says. What presidents say matter.
Yeah, it's not like when you're a senator, right? You can say lots of things when you're a senator. You might get criticized for them, but there's not a lot of consequence that comes directly from that, sir.
Exactly. The power of the president, particularly in this kind of a crisis where one country, we're looking at, the biggest conflagration in Europe in 80 years. And you just can't make those kind of mistakes as president. We shouldn't make them in Congress either, in the Senate or the House. We should be more cautious as well, but clearly the president cannot say things like that.
What do you expect out of the possible peace talks that are going to continue apparently tomorrow in Turkey between representatives from Russia and Ukraine?
I would say my expectations are pretty low because Russia continues to insist that the Ukrainians basically give up their sovereignty, particularly for the East. And you can look at the strategy changes on Russia's side militarily. They're focusing back on that land bridge, and they're going to continue to insist on that. And the Ukrainians, they want them out of Crimea. They want them out of the entire country. So I don't have a whole lot of hope. I'm just glad they're still talking, and maybe if they keep talking, we can get to some resolution.
All right, Mark Green, Congressman from Tennessee, we thank you for coming on and for going over on the trip and telling us about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.